In a land where law was often made by the fastest hand, the Wild West was a crucible of bravery, villainy, and adventure. Picture an era where the boundaries of civilization were as fluid as the rivers that cut through the vast plains. A time when the chirp of crickets was drowned by the twang of a guitar, the clink of whiskey glasses, and the sudden, startling blast of a revolver. This was the Wild West, a world as untamed and relentless as the stallions that roamed its expansive landscapes. Imagine the crunch of gravel beneath your boots as you step onto the dusty streets of a frontier town. The buildings, though hastily thrown together, are teeming with life. The saloon, a beacon of camaraderie and conflict, spills with raucous laughter, while the general store buzzes with the prospect of new supplies from the east. But beyond the town's borders, the wilderness reigns. The West was a vast expanse of desert valleys, jagged mountain ranges, and endless plains. The land was as much a protagonist in this era as the people who dared to tame it. It was a place of beauty and danger, of promise and peril. For some, it was a land of opportunity, a blank canvas on which to paint their dreams. For others, it was a ruthless battlefield where survival hinged on the speed of your draw and the accuracy of your aim. The air was thick with the spirit of rebellion, of fierce independence that seeped into the soul of every settler, every cowboy, every outlaw. This was a world where the rule of law was often overshadowed by the rule of the gun. It was an era that gave birth to legends, heroes, and villains cast in the same mold, their stories interwoven with the fabric of this wild, untamed land. This was a time and place where legends were born from the crack of a gunslinger's pistol, and outlaws roamed as kings of the frontier. Among the many faces of the Wild West, three figures stand out: Billy the Kid, Jesse James, and Wyatt Earp. Each carved their own path through the untamed territories, leaving a lasting legacy, etched in the annals of American history. Let's start with Billy the Kid, the young outlaw with a baby face and a lightning-fast draw. He was born William Henry McCarty Jr., but most know him by his alias. Orphaned at a young age, Billy fell into a life of crime and quickly became a formidable gunslinger. Despite his youthful appearance, he was reputed to have gunned down between 8 and 27 men before his death at just 21 years old. His daring escapes from lawmen and his untimely end at the hands of Sheriff Pat Garrett only added to his legend, making him a symbol of youthful rebellion and lawlessness. Next, we have Jesse James, a man whose deeds blurred the lines between villain and hero. Raised in a family with Confederate loyalties during the Civil War, James took up the life of an outlaw after the war's end. Along with his brother Frank, he led the James Younger Gang, robbing banks, trains, and stagecoaches from Iowa to Texas. Yet in the eyes of some, he was seen as a Robin Hood-like figure, fighting against the encroachment of big business on the common man. His daring exploits and controversial reputation have made him an enduring figure of the Wild West. Finally, there's Wyatt Earp, the lawman known for his part in one of the most famous gunfights in history, the gunfight at the OK Corral. Unlike Billy and Jesse, Earp often found himself on the side of the law, though his methods were not always by the book. He was a gambler, a saloon keeper, a miner, and most notably, a fearless peace officer. His reputation as a relentless lawman, his involvement in the deadly shootout in Tombstone, Arizona, and his later adventures during the Gold Rush have cemented his place in the Wild West lore. These men were not just individuals, but symbols of an era that has been etched into our collective consciousness. Billy, the young renegade who lived fast and died young, Jesse, the outlaw who some saw as a champion of the underdog, and Wyatt, the lawman who walked the line between right and wrong in a time when the law was often as wild as the land itself. Their stories are woven into the fabric of the American West, a testament to a time of lawlessness, opportunity, and unyielding frontier spirit. But life in the Wild West wasn't all about gunslingers and outlaws. This was a time and place where every day was a gamble, where the promise of a better life was often met with harsh realities. The average Westerner, far removed from the infamy of the outlaws, led a simple yet challenging life. Work was demanding, whether it was farming, cattle ranching, or laboring on the burgeoning railroad. Saloons served as the social hub of these burgeoning communities. More than just watering holes, they were places for folks to swap stories, play a hand of poker, and let off steam after a hard day's work. They were the heartbeat of the Wild West, a testament to the camaraderie and resilience of these pioneers. But the allure of the West was not limited to its rugged beauty or the promise of a fresh start. It was the glint of gold that drew many to its uncharted territories. The gold rush of the mid-19th century was a pivotal event, turning humble prospectors into overnight millionaires and desolate regions into bustling towns. Settlers from all walks of life embarked on perilous journeys, motivated by the dream of striking it rich. They braved treacherous terrain, hostile climates, and the ever-present threat of bandits. The gold rush was a symbol of the Wild West's duality. The opportunity of unimaginable wealth juxtaposed with the peril of lawlessness and hardship. But not everyone struck gold. Many returned empty-handed, their dreams reduced to dust. Yet, their spirit was not broken. They remained, contributing to the growth of towns and communities, shaping the identity of the Wild West. The Wild West was a place of opportunity and peril, a place where fortunes could be made and lost in the blink of an eye. It was a crucible of dreams and despair, a testament to the indomitable spirit of those willing to risk it all in the pursuit of a better life. In the midst of chaos, there were those who sought to bring order to the Wild West. Their badges glistened under the harsh desert sun, and they wore their 10-gallon hats with a sense of duty and purpose. These were the lawmen, the sheriffs, and the marshals of the Wild West, tasked with the formidable challenge of maintaining law and order in a land where the rule of the gun often prevailed. These men were not just symbols of authority, but also embodiments of courage. They stood tall against the outlaws, refusing to be swayed by fear. They were the beacon of hope in a world where the line between right and wrong was often blurred. And their stories, like the Wild West itself, are a blend of truth and myth, of reality and legend. Take for instance the story of Wyatt Earp, a name synonymous with law and order in the Wild West. A fearless lawman, Earp is best known for the infamous gunfight at the OK Corral, a 30-second showdown in Tombstone, Arizona that is regarded as one of the most legendary encounters in the Wild West. Alongside his brothers and Doc Holliday, Earp faced off against a gang of outlaws in a battle that would forever etch his name in history. But the Wild West was not just about the Earps and the Hollidays. There were countless other lawmen who rode across the frontier, enforcing the law in the face of relentless danger. Men like Pat Garrett, who brought down the notorious Billy the Kid, and Bill Tillman, who tamed some of the wildest towns of the frontier, exemplify the spirit of these brave individuals. Yet, the life of a lawman was not all glory and honor. It was a perilous existence, marked by violence, hardship, and often an untimely end. But these men understood the risks. They knew that their role was essential in the transformation of the Wild West from a lawless frontier to a land of opportunity. These men were the thin line that separated civilization from anarchy. They were the lawmen of the Wild West, the unsung heroes who dared to enforce justice in a land where chaos reigned supreme. Their legacy continues to inspire us, reminding us of the indomitable spirit of the Wild West. As the 19th century drew to a close, so did the era of the Wild West. The advent of technology, including the spread of railroads and the telegraph, began to weave a new social fabric across the frontier. The open range, once the stage for our gunslingers and outlaws, slowly closed in favor of emerging towns and cities. But while the era ended, its legacy was far from forgotten. The spirit of the Wild West, with its tales of bravery, villainy, and adventure, has been etched deeply into the American identity. Today, we see its enduring influence in our films, our literature, and our collective imagination. It's in the memorials and museums that dot the landscape, keeping the stories of Billy the Kid, Jesse James, and Wyatt Earp alive for generations to come. So we leave you with this question. In the tales of the Wild West, where does myth end and reality begin?